Well, Miyazaki said that it's going to be as big as Limgrave, but honestly I think it's even bigger. I'm not going to talk about any major spoilers for most of this video, but I might mention a few minor ones, so feel free to save it for later. I was pleasantly surprised to find out the actual size of the map. It's similar to the original game, where you first see a small part of the world, and when you start discovering all the maps of all the parts, you realize how huge it really is. The entire DLC relies on you exploring every nook, cave, ruin and furnace to absorb new lore and atmosphere, or simply find new bosses you've been looking forward to. Fortunately, I didn't encounter many recurring bosses, and most of them are as tough as Milena. I decided to adapt by using a shield that I had previously only used in Dark Souls 2. In the DLC, the damage you deal and take is affected by the number of Shadow Tree fragments you collect, which I believe are fragments of the Shadow Tree. Probably it's bark or something similar. I've collected about 19 of them over the course of playing, and they seem to affect the damage you deal more than the damage you negate. However, these shards don't work on your summons or torrent. There's a similar item for them called Revered Ashes. They do the same thing as regular fragments but have a much greater effect, so your summon can tank even the most aggressive bosses in the DLC. Still, for some bosses, the main problem isn't the damage, but the camera. Divine Beast is a great example of what happens when you have a lock-on system and a gigantic boss with fast and aggressive attacks. Overall, all of the Remembrance bosses are unique and iconic, with incredibly detailed backstories. This brings me to the lore in the DLC. The lore, with a few exceptions, doesn't bring much new information, but it does clarify and confirm theories we had from the base game, while disproving something we probably all thought. I won't go into detail just yet. Simply put, it explains the origins of many things. I like the idea they used for the story. The other people set out to find Miquella, who's seen here literally as Jesus Christ, and together you set out on a mission to find the one true God. The overall story is easy to digest and very straightforward, thanks to the NPCs you meet along the way. Even the NPC quests are, I think, a bit easier to follow than in the base game. Of course, the entire experience is also accompanied by a masterful soundtrack that only thickens the intensity of the world. Just listen to a snippet. Now, I'm going to talk about the rest of the lore and story that is in the DLC, which contains some strong spoilers, so skip to that part you see on the screen if you don't want to hear it. Good? Alright. So, the whole time I was playing I thought Miquella must be the only good god that can save the world. Then I found out that Morg was charmed and never the bad guy. He just couldn't think freely about his actions. That was the first thing that made me question who Miquella really was. Then you find out that Miquella wanted to kill Radahn to send him to the Shadow Realm, revive him and make him a consort. Together they would establish a new age under Miquella's charm to resolve any conflicts in lands between, which basically meant he planned to enslave people with love. Literally. That was his plan all along. During your exploration of the realm, the spell breaks and some NPCs come to their senses, and start questioning why they've come here in the first place. This leads to their demise, as they realize you are not there to join Miquella. You end up killing all but 2 of your friends, Ansbach and the poison guy. Then there's only one descendant of the divine family standing in your way, and you kill him. The whole journey and dialogue with Emir in the mausoleum made me think that the frenzy flame is the only way out of this endless cycle. He mentioned that Marika had long ago lost contact with the outer god, and that even the mother of fingers, Meteor, had begun to freak out and panic because of her broken contact with her god, which also is probably the outer god. And to be honest, Rani is hard to believe when she's doing exactly the same what Miquella was doing. Also, she's from the same god family that caused all this in the first place. Plus, she murdered her brother Godwin. Man, gods are weird. Although the story is really good, the only thing I originally expected was for them to add a new ending to the game. Overall, Shadow of the Erdtree is a fantastic addition to the game, though you might be disappointed by the ending, but from what I've seen of all the DLC from Software, they don't really have an ending because they are just DLCs. Still, it's definitely worth playing and buying. Let me know what you think about the DLC down in the comments, and thanks for watching. See ya!